On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Battle Maximus by GWAR. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters, so we like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're going all the way back to 2013 to talk about the 13th studio album from GWAR.
And the final one for
Dave Brockie, aka Odorous Orungus. If you don't know anything about GWAR, well, you're going to learn a little bit today, as much as I am able to relate, because the history of GWAR is extremely long, complicated, and some of it, most of it, in fact, is entirely made up.
Long, complicated, and most of it never happened.
GWAR is awesome.
Yeah. Right, they came here from another planet.
Yeah, they have a whole fictional history for the band, a massive rotating cast of different creatures and alien barbarians, and then like 5 different people who have played the same guy.
Right.
So yeah, there's GWAR is so intriguing. And I love that GWAR continues to exist. I have seen GWAR live in concert.
Right.
I mentioned that the last time
I never have.
We talked. I've seen GWAR live. Out of all of the bands that we have talked about, GWAR is one of the ones that I've seen, which is bizarre considering who I am.
At the time, you knew who they were at the time, right?
Yeah, I knew who GWAR was. I mean, I feel like, I think there were plenty of people at Warped Tour that year who probably didn't know who GWAR was, and then ended up in the crowd anyway and getting sprayed with all manner of fluids. Right.
But most of them manufactured. Hopefully synthesized.
You're not at a Mayhem concert, so I'm hoping it's not actual blood.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen GWAR. They were at Warped Tour the last year that I went, and they murdered one of the members of Carnifex on stage. Which was hilarious. Yeah. I thought that was great. But yeah, it was I think, I don't remember if it was that year or the year before that Real Big Fish was also there. Obviously for all the parents.
Sure.
Real Big Fish is there for the dad that used to be into ska.
Right.
And
that was when I was in my 20s.
Yeah. And it's like for all the ska dads here that are taking their kids to see all the metalcore bands, here's Real Big Fish.
As I understand it, though, Real Big Fish are a lot heavier in person.
Well, I mean, they have done, and they did do while I was there, a song. It's a really short song, and then they're like, "All right, we're gonna play the same song again," and they do a completely earnest, straight, 100% like grindcore version of that song, no tongue-in-cheek joke about it. Like the guitar, the tone is good, the vocals are good, like a death grind version of the same song. And I had no idea that they do that sort of thing. And so me and some of my friends were just sitting down on the asphalt in front of some garbage cans, because it's Warped Tour. Sure. Just rehydrating and taking a breather for a second because we're sunburnt and extremely tired. And we're like sitting, like Real Big Fish is playing in the background, and then they do that, and we all just fucking like looked at each other like, what the did that just fucking happen? What was that? I guess Real Big Fish is fucking awesome.
Yeah. They're like my age.
And so, they should have had Aquabats there that year too.
Well, was Blink 182? Well, I guess he left the band and they replaced him, didn't they?
I don't know.
The drummer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Blink person, so.
What was the name of the drummer for Blink 182?
Is it fucking Travis?
Yeah, Travis Barker. He was the drummer for the Aquabats.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm mad because I know Aquabats do the whole costume thing.
Right.
Which, first of all, I don't like. I don't know how GWAR usually handles tours, but that must have been a fucking effort and a half to play a show pretty much every fucking day all summer as GWAR with all of their shit. Like,
well, what year was this?
This was 2016.
So I feel like they'd already been doing it for 20 years.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're not new to it.
But like doing it, I think the challenge with Warped Tour is playing a show every single day.
They do play a show every day for Warped Tour. They did.
They did. Yeah, that was the big logistical challenge. Is it was by the end anyway. There was a show pretty much like bands would take like a week off every once in a while, or like a day off or something like that. But it was pretty much every day that they would do a show. At the next venue a couple states over, or depending upon how densely populated the state is, a couple cities over.
Sure.
It was like all right, tomorrow, like Minnesota today, tomorrow we'll be in Illinois. Sure. Or something to that
North
effect.
Dakota, because they came here a lot, the Warped Tour.
Yeah. No, Minnesota was the closest one. Good old Shakopee.
Shakopee.
Go to, what the hell is the fucking horse place? What's the horse place in Shakopee? Canterbury Park.
Canterbury Park, really?
Yeah, Canterbury Park. It's right next to fucking what's the amusement park? What's the amusement park in
Shakopee?
In Minnesota? It's got the Wild Thing, the big old rickety roller coaster.
I've never been there.
Really?
I've been to Minnesota, but I've never been to...
You've never been to Minnesota?
Yeah.
It's right there, dude.
Yeah. It's a 4.5 hour drive.
I'm going to look it up really quick. Minnesota Amusement Park. Minnesota Amusement Parks. Valley Fair.
Valley Fair.
Yes.
Yes, I've
Valley
heard of
Fair
that.
is very close by. The Canterbury Park. And also that's where very close to where the Minnesota Renaissance Festival is.
Oh, sure. You've been to that, right?
I have been to that. I've been to that twice. Twice? 3 times? No, I think just twice. I kind of want to, like, I've been seeing pictures of some of my friends going to it and going like, oh yeah, I can do that again now. But I just took a vacation, which I guess now we'll talk about that.
Went to Las Vegas.
Because we didn't do an episode last week because I had just gotten back and was extremely tired.
You were down there with gambling and hookers.
Oh yeah, just the whole, really the whole Vegas experience.
Exactly.
Because I'm famously a big fan of crowds and interacting with other human beings that are strangers.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those. I'm a big fan of hard drugs. And paying complete strangers for the most intimate of acts.
Exactly.
Those are all things I'm traditionally a big fan of. No, we just hung out at the Airbnb and played Dungeons and Dragons for 4 days, which that was a good time.
Awesome.
It's just nothing really to report. Just had a relaxed sort of chill time and
very relaxed, I understand.
Yes, a very relaxed time. I will say I don't know if there's a difference between how the water tastes in Paradise and how the water tastes in up in like North Las Vegas and Las Vegas proper. The water at the Airbnb sucked. The Vegas tap water is gross. It's nasty. And I'm a person who does not give a shit about tap water, generally speaking.
Right.
Like some people don't like our tap water here in Minot.
I don't care. Yeah.
I love our tap water in Minot.
You grew up in a small town. Small town in North Dakota generally doesn't have the best water.
Generally, no. We had well water at my house for a very long time. Now we have rural water, which didn't bother. Like now, I say I'm not bothered by tap water. I guess the truth is I'm not bothered by our tap water.
Right.
Because it's what I'm used to. The times that I have like gone home and filled up my flask and then like drank, the rural water at my parents' house. Like, this is kind of gross.
There's a rock in this.
Which didn't used to be a problem, but now I think I'm just so used to Minot tap water. While I was in Vegas, in order to make that tap water more potable, I would pour a White Claw into my I poured a White Claw into my big flask, which is gigantic, so it was extremely diluted.
You weren't getting drunk or anything.
No, also it was one White Claw.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying.
If you're getting drunk off of one White Claw, that's because you are 3 years old. And you should not.
How was your childhood, Kale? I mean, was your parents feeding you malt liquor beverages at age 3?
I'm just saying that if you get drunk after drinking a single White Claw, that it's because you are a 3-year-old.
Yes, and you're the Child Protective Service
should
need to
come
be called.
for you.
Yeah.
Also, you shouldn't be listening to the podcast.
I know. You fucking swear and whatnot.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just the water was gross, so that's how I made it taste good.
Sure.
And there's I guess I haven't washed my flask since I got home, so there's still actually a little bit, just the tiniest tinge of that vague flavor that all White Claws have.
Sure.
Even when you're drinking it completely undiluted, the vague suggestion of a flavor.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of how I stayed hydrated with a little bit of alcohol. It's the same concept as like small beer,
right,
in the Middle Ages, or table beer as they called it, which is basically just extremely, extremely low ABV beer.
It's what you could buy in Minnesota on Sundays.
Yes, and you would in the Middle Ages you would drink that because you can't drink the water.
Right.
And it was it was deemed fit for children to drink.
Here you go, kids. It's 3-2.
Yeah. This is 0.5% alcohol by volume. You'll be fine. Don't drink, kids.
Yeah, don't. Just do drugs.
Yeah, don't drink. Just do drugs.
Right.
The harder, the better. I did a thing. I already told you about it, but like we played a 2 level 20 one-shots. Well, we played half of my level 20 one-shot.
Oh, you didn't finish
We didn't finish mine because we did it. The thing that did happen that kind of that was sort of a bummer is we had one person go down with COVID on the second to last day, which is the day I was running that one-shot. So they were not able to play. And we all, tested, and then I tested when I got home and all that sort of stuff. But so we had one person down, and that sort of put a damper on it and sort of delayed things because now we had to go buy tests, and we had there was all kinds of busy work that had to happen related to that. So things got kind of delayed. So we got about halfway through that one shot. But then the next day we played all of our evil level 21 shot where we killed Bahamut, the platinum dragon. And I dealt a truly insane amount of damage throughout that entire fight. It was fucking awesome. I played a level 20 champion fighter, which champion fighters are the most boring white bread. Like a human variant champion fighter is the most basic ass combo of things that you can do in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And I had a fucking blast. Because we also had an allowance for a bunch of magic items. And so I was like, okay, I took this really cool sword that, has a whole bunch of other shit. And it's also a Vorpal sword and stuff. It's like, okay, so I got that, this, +3 plate armor, a couple other things I can't remember. A belt of storm giant strength, which takes your strength up to 29 when 20 is the natural cap. So just super strong dude with a great sword. And then how I really fucked with the Dungeon Master is my third legendary item was a potion of giant size, which makes you size huge. And also your weapons size up with you. So my greatsword did a base of 3d6 damage. And I did, because I had a plus 18 to hit. And I had the feat Great Weapon Master, which lets you take a -5 to your attack roll to deal an extra 10 damage. So I did that on every single attack. And so the base damage for this character was, it was not 3d6, it was 6d6 damage. So the base damage that I could do was 6d6 plus 22. And then as a champion fighter, you crit on 18 through 20. So that becomes 12d6 plus 22.
But that doesn't count for the Vorpal Sword.
Yeah, on a Vorpal Sword, you need to hit a natural 20.
Right.
I really wish it was like on a critical hit because then you could really fuck with it. But it has to be on a natural 20. But then I got a couple natural 20s, so that turned into 12d6 plus 22 plus 6d8. Because when you're fighting creatures who have legendary actions, you can't just kill them instantly with the Vorpal Sword. Because that would suck. As a dungeon master to be like, and here's Demogorgon, or well, I guess if you got one nat 20 on Demogorgon, it wouldn't be the worst thing because he does have 2 heads, but here's fucking Asmodeus, and then I got a nat 20 on the first turn. I just cut his head off and we're done with it.
All right, see you later, guys.
Bye.
See you next
Good
week.
Game. Nice campaign. Shame it's over. But yeah, it was a blast. There was like the first big enemy that we fought was this massive like divine construct, like this huge multi-armed stone being called an archaic. And it like reversed gravity on my character. He floated up into the air. And then you're supposed to like the effect ends and then you go hurtling down to the ground and take damage when you hit the ground. Well, I was wearing boots of flying.
Sure.
So I just stayed up there. And then on my next turn, I zipped over to the archaic, used my first turn, my first attack to not to grapple it, but to shove it. Because you can replace one of your attacks with a shove, which you can use to knock a character prone. So I did some Kratos bullshit.
Sure. And
went over and like suplexed this thing into the ground because it was only a size larger than me.
Sure.
So I suplexed this like walking mountain into the ground and killed it. And then I did that to an ancient gold dragon a couple of times. And I did that to fucking Bahamut 3 times because none of them are immune to being prone.
Sure.
So I fucking suplexed God and it was great. It was amazing. Because sometimes, you're playing with people who aren't going to, your support casters aren't doing something to give you advantage. So you just have to create your own advantage by knocking God prone and putting him on his scaly ass. You big fucking lizard. Come at me, man. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. So at some point, that same group is going to do my level 20 game, the rest of my level 20 game. I don't know when I'm gonna figure out how to do that. I've got a regular one that I agreed to do this weekend that I'm excited about because we have a guest player and I had a great idea of like, hey, could you play this character from another player's backstory and we're gonna do a thing where you like betray them. I'm pulling out. I finally get to re-gift a wonderful gift that was given to me in like the first couple of months I ever played role-playing games when I was playing a Star Wars campaign. And the DM like read my backstory and then we were doing a mission. We're like, okay, you're going back to your home planet and like this is going to be like a very you-focused mission. And then he did a thing where like my character was like an ex-cop and his old partner was like in bad with these like crime syndicate who forced my character's ex-partner to kill my character's parents. It was like the coolest fucking thing because also like my character had an insane bonus to investigation or whatever the equivalent was in Star Wars Saga Edition. I had a really high bonus to like all my investigative skills. And I just kept rolling terribly. I kept on rolling so bad, and I, as a player, wasn't putting together any of the pieces. And then eventually the hammer dropped, or it was like, it was your partner. And it was like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. So now I'm like trying to do that. And the guest player has basically said that he's basing his characterization of this person off of patches from FromSoft games. Which I thought was the just chef's kiss, most wonderful gift that could be given to me for this game that we're doing. Because currently our party has like an insane amount of magic items that we're just stashing at home, because there were like these items that were stolen from a whole bunch of cities by these pirates and haven't been given back yet. Well, this other group are also pirates. They've heard about it. They know who our people are, and they're involved in like the rogue's backstory.
Sure.
And so they're going to send his ex-best friend who has betrayed him in the past to like come in and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I feel really bad, and try and figure out where the magic items are and try and steal them. And if he can't do that, going to lead them into an ambush, and there might be a battle at sea, or like, I don't know what he's going to do, because I told him it was just like double, triple, quadruple crosses are absolutely fine. Chase your bliss. But like here's the setup, and whether or not you want to actually betray them or betray me is fine. Like I'm excited about it. I need to like actually set up some concrete stuff, but it's also like the scenario I've created. I don't actually need to do a lot of setup, because it really hinges on what he wants to do. So I don't need to do a lot of concrete setup other than make a couple of maps and a few encounters that like. But like the moment to moment stuff, there's not really any setup I need to do, because it's going to be him interacting with the party, which I think is a wonderful gift for me, again, as a dungeon master. To be like, hey, you do the work for me, please. But yeah, GWAR. You want to talk about GWAR?
Yeah. Sure.
So GWAR is an American heavy metal band. It's not inappropriate to refer to GWAR as an art collective either. Although truly the art collective part is referred to as the Slave Pit,
right? Which
is a Slave Pit Incorporated is sort of a collection of all of the people that are associated with GWAR. You know, there are many people that are still involved in that are former band members or people who have filled in here and there. The current lead singer for a long time was, you know, just a support member. There's other times where he's played Beefcake the Mighty, who's been the
there've been a couple of Beefcake the Mighty.
Yeah, there've been several Beefcakes. But I think Beefcake is usually the bassist. Is that usually the role?
I think so. Yeah.
Let me look at that. I had the timeline pulled up on my laptop. And then I gotta pull it up again here. Timeline. Let's see. Beefcake is usually the bassist. Currently, that is Mike Bishop played Beefcake previously from 1988 to about 1993. Currently, though, he's the lead vocalist, Blothar the Berserker. Who it has been the longest running replacement for Odorous Arungus, aka Dave Brockie.
Right.
The other constant members of the band, other than Dave Brockie, who passed away not long after the album that we listened to came out.
Right.
The other, like, more or less constant, not original members of the band, but essentially the closest thing you can get to original members of the band with GWAR at this point is you've got Brad Roberts, aka Jizmac DeGusha, and Mike Dirks, or Ballsack the Jaws of Death.
Yes. That's the big
the rhythm guitarist. So GWAR, the shtick with GWAR, if you haven't been able to like put something together by all the ridiculous character names, is that they all play alien berserkers from, you know, parts unknown out in the galaxy.
What is the name of their planet? I forgot the name of their planet.
I don't remember the name of their planet, but the name of their group in universe is the Scum Dogs.
Sure, the Scum Dogs of the universe. Yeah.
Yes, I can't remember the name of their planet.
Second album.
Is it like is like some sort of gladiator pun? The name of their planet.
I wish I'd have brought my phone. My brain is failing me.
In any case, there's like a unnecessarily detailed fictional lore for the band, but they are like, galactic barbarians, right? Who I believe in universe have taken over the Earth.
Yes, and they're here to eradicate humanity.
Yeah, they're
eradicate and or enslave.
Yes, they're not fun to have around.
Sure.
But the band members are known. They all wear elaborate costumes that have gotten more and more detailed and refined as the years have gone along. Striking sort of a delicate balance between what is achievable for being a touring band and what is also like, how can we make this more detailed without making it impossible to put on and take off every day? But yeah, these elaborate costumes and just gruesome live shows.
Yeah.
Where they like just stuffed with extremely irreverent satire, a lot of times political, just aimed in every single direction because
along with a lot of blood.
The Scum Dogs hate everybody.
Sure.
And so there's tons of fake blood, a fair amount of fake semen usually.
Maybe it's fake.
Hopefully. I mean, with that amount, it would take a long time to collect that amount, but just all kinds of fake fluids, alien goo, just all like. I remember I was a ways back from the stage because I didn't want to take part in that part of the GWAR experience.
Yeah,
but I remember seeing people that were closer up walk out after the show was done, just like. Looking like they had been through the world's weirdest Iron Man run.
Really?
Like
looking like the poster for Carrie.
They look like they got slimed.
Yeah.
He slimed me. But yeah, that's usually how their shows go, and like their live shows really is what gained them a lot of notoriety throughout like the 90s.
Yeah.
And the 90s is sort of when their kind of mainstream knowledge sort of peaked as their closest they've come to mainstream popularity. And it's been sort of like a weird tradition throughout their entire career that band members will appear on like local television programs as their characters to do interviews, which is always hilarious.
One thing that also boosted their career was a show called Beavis and Butthead.
Yes. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of bands that were mildly boosted, at least by Beavis and Butthead.
Right. Like Morbid Angel, I believe, had a boost from Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, and just MTV of that era. Like GWAR was a fixture in like Headbangers Ball and stuff throughout the 90s. GWAR. But GWAR has had a very long history. And it's the sort of thing where like to try and talk about the entire thing is truly impossible.
And actually, if you want to, what is the name of the streaming service for just horror movies?
Shudder.
Yeah,
if you have Shudder documentary.
Right.
I think it's just called This Is GWAR, isn't it? But we were talking, and I mentioned it to you at work earlier today, where it's like GWAR is the type of music I would expect orcs from Warhammer 40K to make and listen to.
Right.
It is exactly that kind of music. It's heavy metal. It's hard to describe it as anything other than just heavy metal.
Right.
It's about killing things, killing people and butchering things and having a good time while you're doing it and just enjoying getting in these galactic battles and stuff.
Sure.
And that's just fucking orcs in Warhammer. And to that end, when I got home, I was like, okay, is there like, what's the crossover here between GWAR and Warhammer? And an album of theirs from 2001. Got it. Now I got to look up the name of the album as well. But an album of theirs from 2001. Which one was it? Violence Has Arrived,
right?
From 2001. The album art was done by Adrian Smith, who is one of the most prolific artists that Games Workshop has worked with. And like I saw that album art, I was like, that's fucking Warhammer exactly. And to like, there's so much crossover, especially in a certain age group, like especially with your age group, I would say, of like guys your age who have been playing Warhammer since the 90s and have continued to play Warhammer to the modern day.
Sure.
Also, statistically, are probably very likely to be into GWAR and Bolt Thrower for that matter.
Sure, of course.
But this album, let's talk about this album in specific. So this album is called Battle Maximus, came out in 2013. It was Dave Brockie's last album. Dave Brockie passed away.
From heart failure.
I mean, it's a heroin overdose.
Yeah, it was a heroin overdose. And his heart stopped.
Yes, his heart stopped because he was overdosing on heroin.
Right.
It was his last album as Odorous, sorry. I'm just getting choked up talking about Odorous Rungus' death. What was it? Cuttlefish?
His cod piece.
Yeah, he had a detachable cod piece that was like a little alien creature that was often stuffed with fireworks and or stuff that could shoot out fake cum. Yeah. Because it was like an attachable actual penis.
Yes, the cuttlefish.
It was disgusting.
Yeah. Delightfully disgusting.
Every year they have a little festival called GWARBecue. And at 2014 GWARBecue, they had a Viking funeral for Dave's stage gear. Aww. So the Odorous Orungus costume, or at least one of them, is no more because it got put out on a boat and set on fire. Which is awesome.
Right.
But also they filled like before when they put the stuff on the boat, they filled Cuttlefish with fireworks.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So like once the flames got high enough, the Cuttlefish exploded. I do wish, by the way, that they would put out an album called Hammer 40K. It's GWAR Hammer 40K.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. It's the 40,000th hammer. So what is there to say about this album in particular?
I mean, it's very consistent.
Yeah. I think there was a time where I tried to listen to Scumdogs of the Universe and it was like, this is just too rough for me. It was just, but this is extremely well produced
because it was produced in 2013 on digital equipment.
Exactly. I feel like there's maybe an impression that like GWAR has continued to be as dirty and nasty in their recording quality as they once were, but no, they're a professional band of people who know what the fuck they're doing.
Exactly.
There's a lot of really good riffs on here. There's great cool riffs. Guitar solos. I don't feel like there's anything on here that is like mind-blowingly amazing, but it's fucking GWAR.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what are you looking for? What do you want? I mean,
what do you want? It's like Cannibal Corpse.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I'm having at the moment a hard time really thinking of what song truly stands out among all the songs. The song that I think of is that's different is Falling. For some reason, because
Falling does stick out a lot.
Yeah, because it's kind of touching.
It's kind of weird. Yeah. It does eventually get to a more GWAR-ish place of being silly and weird and violent. But like for the first parts of it, it's like,
and even toward the end,
it's like this is a GWAR song. Like they took themselves seriously for a second.
Yeah.
Like the Falling is the closest thing to really standing out. The rest of it is just like, it's GWAR. Yeah. What do you want? Yeah, I don't know what more there is to say about it specifically.
One thing I love is the opportunity they took to really forge some great lyrics for the title cut.
The only instrumental track on the album. So in lieu of talking about anything specific about this album, what we often do this with albums that you bring. What's your deal with GWAR?
My deal with GWAR is that I think it was probably when I was 18 or 19 years old, maybe closer to 20. I had mostly it was we had a sister band. I was in a band and we had a sister band. And
it was all your guys' sisters.
No. Okay. They called us their sister band too because we were all a bunch of assholes. And, and anyway, their drummer really loved GWAR. I'm like, what the fuck is GWAR? And he played it for me and he showed it to me and I'm like, I don't know.
I don't get it.
I'm not sure. Is this comedy or is this because it sounds pretty fucking awesome? This is great.
It can be both.
Yeah, is there the tongue firmly in cheek here? What's going on?
Musically, no. Lyrically and aesthetically, yes.
Sure.
Like, I think that's always been the impression with GWAR is that as a band, making heavy metal, they take that aspect very seriously. But the costumes and the lyrics and everything else, yeah, we're fucking space barbarians and we're having a good time.
And we're going to talk about murdering everybody. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's, not everything has to be super duper serious, right?
Right, exactly. So, I mean, off and on for the last 30 years, I've been, touching base with this band. Like,
what's GWAR up to?
What's GWAR doing right now? Oh shit, a new album? Are you kidding?
They've released 14 new things in the last 8 months. Yeah. I did say it's their 13th studio album. The exactly what qualifies as a studio album for GWAR seems to be up for debate.
Right, it's a bit nebulous.
Their discography lists this as their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, this is their 13th album.
Sure.
But I was looking at certain other things also about how many other releases that they've had of some measure or another. And it's a little hard to keep track of. But that's kind of what happens when the basis for your band is just like, let's just make some awesome tunes. And then the lyrics can be about fucking anything.
Literally.
Yeah. Fucking anything.
You know what I love is if you go on the YouTubes.
On the YouTubes.
On the YouTubes, you can see is it on PBS? What is it on? Where they have bands come on and they have a list of songs that they've, and then bands will come on in no particular order, and then they'll do one of the songs, and then they'll cross that song off, and then the next band has a shorter list to choose from. Well, GWAR has been on that like 4 or 5 times. And it's always something that looks like we're gonna play "Beat It" by Michael Jackson, and then they do a great sort of metal version of.
The European version of Battle Maximus features a what was it? Give me a second. Carry On My Wayward Son cover.
I've heard that,
which I haven't listened to. I told myself while I was listening to the album that I would, and then I didn't because the version on Spotify is not the European version with the bonus tracks on it. But I shall have to seek that out to listen to a GWARified version of Carry On My Wayward Son.
I feel like they did that on the PBS show.
Probably.
I feel like that's where I know that from.
As long as their cover of it is better than fucking Nevermore's cover.
Sound of Silence.
Sound of Silence.
Yeah. Hey, guys, pat you on the back. You swung.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
It's me, Wayne Gretzky, here with a saying for you.
Yeah, the great one on his metal podcast.
Hi everybody. It's me, Wayne Gretzky, without a hint of a Canadian accent.
And I'm Mario Lemieux.
And I'm Michael Scott. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to truly say about Battle Maximus. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's fun. It's a great listen.
It's I feel like if you are affected by sensitive content, maybe not the one for you. If you would have trouble listening to a typical Cannibal Corpse album from the majority of their discography simply by looking at the song titles, then this might bother you a little bit.
Yes.
It's all meant in jest.
Right. This might bother you even more because a lot of times you can't understand what the hell George is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty good at enunciating, but
these lyrics are much easier to understand.
Right.
And if that's the sort of thing that would bother you, this is probably not for you.
If you're a 14-year-old boy and you don't want your mom and dad listening to what you're listening to, this is for you.
Sure, yeah. This is the kind of explicit content that Tipper Gore was talking about.
Exactly. Those stickers were great, by the way.
Yeah.
They helped me out a lot.
John Denver predicted the fucking future, okay? The man was right. At the hearing, he said, this is what's gonna happen, and that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
He was right. Every witness they brought forth at that hearing was 100% correct. Yeah. Frank Zappa was right. John Denver was right. And
D.
Snyder was right. Like they were all 100% right at that hearing. But anyway, GWAR is, it's all meant in jest, but still, triggers are triggers. So if something's bothering you, it doesn't matter whether it's a joke or not.
Right.
So maybe avoid that if sensitive content is going to bug you. But next week, it is going to be September already.
Oh, really?
I think next Wednesday will be September. Let me take
of course
a look.
it will be.
Yes. Or no, actually, next Wednesday is actually the 31st of August.
Oh, do one more metal band.
So that kind of changes my plan a little bit.
Okay.
Because I just kind of assumed that it was going to be September. Which is traditionally a non-metal month for us.
Right.
We didn't do that in March because we had a bunch of stuff to catch up on.
Right. And so we got a lot of non-metal to catch up. I know what you were going to say we were going to listen to next week. Exactly, too.
That I think the thing you're thinking of is not going to be out yet.
Oh, it's not completely out yet?
Are you talking about a new Wonder Years album?
Yeah.
That's not going to be out until like the 23rd.
Oh, okay.
That's not out until later next month.
Right.
Next week, then, you know what? It's depressing as fuck, but it's an album I've been listening to a lot lately. So we're going to talk about Counterparts.
By Rush.
Yeah. Yes. No. It's a Canadian hardcore band called Counterparts. The name of the album that I've been listening to is Nothing Left to Love from 2019.
Okay, we've done a Counterparts album before. Because I've made that joke before.
We've done an End album, and the lead singer of End is the lead singer of Counterparts. So
gotcha.
That might be where it came up. I don't know if we've done a Counterparts album before, but it's their newest album. They got a new one that's coming out in October. But we'll talk about this one because I've been listening to it off and on for the last couple of months. It's really good, but also is very much in my wheelhouse of like, wow, this is very depressing.
I'll have to ask my ex-wife what these guys are like.
God, I don't.
Because she's Canadian.
Oh, okay.
So they all know each other.
Yeah, they all know each other up there. Does she know Wayne Gretzky?
She does, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Related. They're cousins.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like 3 times.
They're cousins 3 times.
Yeah, everybody's related up there.
Nothing Left to Love by Counterparts 2019.
That is the joke too. Oh, you're from Canada. Do you know Jeff?
Do you know Jeff?
Yeah.
Do you know that guy? I mean, look, there's not a lot of people up there.
Right.
It's a fairly quick listen. It's only 32 minutes long. But anywho, till you hear from us next week, thanks so much for listening to the Brands Metalist podcast.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Gold album. I give this a gold, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We didn't do any of our criteria because I didn't write stuff down. And also because it's GWAR.
It's GWAR, of course.
GWAR.
Yeah.
I would... If I'm being honest with myself, probably give it a silver, but that's usually what I give to albums where I'm like, this is good, but I'm not going to listen to it again. I'll give this one a silver. But anyway, find us on social media. We're on Twitter and we're on Facebook.
Yep.
And then go ahead and subscribe to our feed. Whatever you're using to listen to us right now, go ahead and subscribe to us on there. And if you would like to find other ways to listen to us, well, the 2 big ones are your Apple Podcast app and Libsyn's the podcast source. So go ahead and do that, whichever one you like. Anyway, thanks very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ. Congratulations.